Hey everyone! About once a month I like to do a post across my social media platforms to do a call for questions for a Q&A video. It's a good time to ask any, general questions that you want me to go into a little bit more than I could just responding to a YouTube comment. Topics are open to classical music, Baroque music, cello-related questions, or just things about music careers. So let's dive right in. Next week I'm starting orchestra lessons. I still don't know if there will be other cellists since it's a small group. What tips would you give to a complete beginner in an ensemble, apart from studying the repertoire deeply? Well, studying the repertoire is, of course, the most important thing you can do because you want to obviously come into rehearsals very confident on your part and not being stressed out about your own notes when you're playing with the ensemble. I think if you haven't played an ensemble before, I think the most important things to get used to are paying attention to your conductor, who of course will be very happy to see that you're looking up at them and paying attention, and also being able to listen around you and understand how your part fits in. Too often in ensemble settings we get kind of tunnel vision where we stare at our music stands and really focus on our parts, and because of that it can make us play somewhat insensitively to what else is going on in the music. So if you come in really confident with your part, you should be able to come in with open ears, open eyes at the conductor, and really hear and see what's going on around you and make sure that you're really playing into the ensemble and not just an individual playing a part. What do you look for in a new cello? What kinds of things are you listening for when trying one out in a shop? So I haven't done much cello shopping myself because we only buy cellos so often in our lifetime. But what I think is a really important thing to consider when trying out a cello or any instrument is not only how the instrument sounds under your own ear while you play it, but also how the instrument sounds standing a couple feet away facing the instrument. So it's really good to have a trusted musician or just someone whose ears you trust come with you so they can stand back from the instrument and listen to the sound, or perhaps you can have someone else play the instrument and you can listen to the sound standing further from the instrument, because we tend to have a bit of a bias when the instrument is under our fingers right, on our bodies. We don't hear it the same way as it's going to carry across a room or across a hall. Other than that, it's really good to make sure that you're playing all different kinds of styles, dynamics, articulations, because some instruments are going to respond better to certain types of things. So you want to be able to try a full range of sounds and see how the instrument handles all of that. So when you're trying an instrument, especially if you're new to it, you may feel shy and like the instrument guy is watching you or something, but you should really not be afraid to really play and really try things, because you want to know how the instrument is going to do when it gets to the extreme parts of dynamics and musicality. How would I get started playing in the Baroque style? So this, of course, depends on your instrument, but I think one of the best things to do when you're learning about playing Baroque music more is spend some time listening to period instrument recordings. There are certain ensembles you can look up that always play on period instruments, but getting used to what the sound is really like in a Baroque style and kind of draining your ear of those modern recordings that you may have heard before so you could get kind of a new aesthetic in your ear. When I was first studying Baroque music and getting into period instruments, I would listen to period instrument recordings all day long when I was working, and because so often those performers are ornamenting and playing really stylistically, it just sort of seeps into your musical language just by listening. So you don't want to listen to something just to imitate it, but just to get that sound and language in your ear can be really helpful. Beyond that, you want to start learning some of the most basic musical concepts of the Baroque period, like the strong and weak principle, the idea of inequality in bow strokes and articulations, and also harmony, a lot of which I have here on my channel under my instructional videos playlist. But getting down the basic musical concepts, getting the sound of the music in your ear, and then if you can either try a period instrument or just learn about the earlier version of your instrument, that will inform a lot of how you actually play on your instrument. How do you personally choose which notes get vibrato? So for string players, vibrato can sometimes be kind of involuntary, but I really do try to be intentional when I use vibrato, and I think the main difference with vibrato on Baroque music versus modern performances is that we actually want to use vibrato not on resolution notes like on cadences or at the ends of phrases, but actually on more tense, expressive, dissonant notes is where we're more likely to want to use vibrato. And that's because vibrato was thought of as an ornament. It was an additional thing we did to add emphasis to a note. So typically in the Baroque period, we want to be adding emphasis to dissonant notes, not to consonant notes and resolutions. So that's usually the first place I'll go to if I want to use vibrato. What drives you to pursue a career in music? Was there ever a time when you were absolutely sick of music? What was your biggest setback? If you're not a stranger to my channel, you've probably seen my videos on my stories about being in college and some of the struggles that I had earlier on as a musician. And I certainly did not have an easy path during my undergrad and master's years. I was doing a lot of catch up from starting late on the cello, and music school is a kind of unforgiving place. So I definitely had my struggles in school, but since being out of school, I've actually had an easier time adjusting to having a career and being a freelancer. Part of that is because I am very self-directed, and I think that's an essential skill if you decide to be a freelance musician, because very few jobs and opportunities are handed to us. We really have to either chase them ourselves or create them ourselves. So most of my setbacks were in my earlier years of schooling, where I felt like I didn't have the support maybe of the faculty members or my peers, and that made it very difficult for me. But it is something that I was able to overcome. I think we all get sick of music from time to time. I think anything, if you're working on it all the time, you can get burnt out. But it's really just about managing the ebbs and flows and knowing, okay, if I feel really burnt out on music, I'm gonna, lots of times when I'm in the car or doing things, I rarely have music on. I actually don't listen to music recreationally very much anymore, mostly because so much of my work is just immersed in music and playing music, creating music. So oftentimes if I'm not working on music, I actually prefer silence, which helps me from, if I'm feeling really sick of a particular repertoire or something, I can either listen to nothing, enjoy some silence, or find some very different music. Maybe if I've been playing, a ton of concerts and Baroque repertoire, maybe I'll listen to something drastically different stylistically. Just knowing how to reset your ears when you need to, and knowing the types of things that always make you feel inspired, so you can go to those things when you're feeling a little down. But it's really just about taking breaks, because anything that you work hard on is likely to make you feel a little burnt out from time to time. So it's just accepting, okay, I need a little break, and then coming back when you're ready. It's never going to be something that is always feeling amazing, because that's just unrealistic. So it's just about managing the ups and downs. Thanks so much to everybody who submitted their questions. Be sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, where I often call out for these questions about once a month. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like to help support me in the production of these videos, you can become my patron on Patreon. Thanks for watching.